Hello everyone and welcome back to Car Venus 14. Yes. I am back in Genshin. Now, I didn't necessarily take a break from Genshin Impact, I just wanted to diversify my content a little bit. But yes, so if everyone's wondering why I've been inactive for a really long time, it's because, well, as you all know, I am a first-year university student. So, I obviously have exams at the end of each semester. And obviously with semester 1 coming to an end, we've had exams. So, yeah, I can safely say that they both went absolutely brilliantly. So now that I don't have any exams to worry about, it means I can actually focus on my, my actual, outside of uni life. So yeah, anyway guys, today we're going to be doing another Shenhe showcase, because if you guys have saw my last ever video on Genshin Impact, which was about Nihilus reviewing my Shenhe, he said my Shenhe was very, very strong. And I have to say, I was very delighted to hear that. It's the first ever time I've ever sent my Shenhe to review, because obviously I wasn't really sure how people would react to it, but I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? So I sent it to him, he reviewed it, and, well, he loved it. So yeah, pretty safe to assume that I have probably a very, very good Shenhe, maybe even one of the best in the European server at least. So yeah, physical DPS Shenhe, mind you. I know cryo DPS Shenhe also exists, but I'm not a huge fan of cryo DPS Shenhe. Not to say I'm not a huge fan of it. I do like it, but I just prefer physical DPS. I will actually make a separate video later on at some point explaining why I prefer physical DPS Shenhe compared to cryo DPS Shenhe, because, well, according to some rumors and information about, Shenhe's rerun was supposed to be coming soon, but got delayed, unfortunately. But I'm still going to make it, just in case if there's people out there that do want to roll for Shenhe, because Shenhe is a very lovely character. Number one, her kit is amazing. Number two, she's also very versatile as well in terms of DPS as well as the support. She has very good versatility in the team as well, in melt teams, reverse melt teams, frozen teams, shatter teams like Eula shatter teams. I mean,
my pole arm doesn't
she doesn't work well with Dendro, because Dendro just doesn't seem to like cryo for some reason. So yeah, but other than that, I would say Shenhe is honestly a pretty good character, especially because she's a pretty big cryo booster as well, and a lot of the top tier DPSs, Ganyu, Ayaka, maybe even Eula's cryo damage to some extent, even Rosaria, Chongyun DPS, basically all the top DPSs, like, basically like Ayaka and Ganyu and Eula, really do like Shenhe. Maybe not Eula as much, because she doesn't dedicate herself to cryo, but Ayaka and Ganyu are very, very strong units that can utilize, Shenhe very well. So if you have an Ayaka or a Ganyu and want even more power, Shenhe's a really good friend of yours. So yeah. Anyway, guys, off with that topic of me praising Shenhe, and let me praise her even more, because today I have managed to make my Shenhe build even stronger. Now, if you guys saw my actual Nihilus video, you will remember that I was actually running 235.8% crit damage with a 57.8% crit rate ratio. So around 58%, 60% basically. Now, I have gained some more power. I haven't necessarily gained more crit rate. If anything, I've lost a little bit of crit rate, but when I say I've lost, it means I've only lost about 3%. So I haven't lost too much, but the crit damage I've gained is quite a decent amount. And I'm running a new 2-piece set as well, because before I was running 2-piece Pale Flame, 2-piece Shimmer Hours, because of the fact that I was running a really stupidly over-tuned feather that I had with like 33% crit damage. So yeah, that was the only reason I was running that set, because that feather was so good, I had to utilize it. So I utilized it, and well, it did a brilliant job, all I can say. But now I'm running a different set. Now, we'll look at the ratio now. So, as you can see, I have 54% crit rate with 246.7 crit damage. Yes, I've lost about 3.8% crit damage, crit rate, I think, but I've gained 11, well, technically 10.9% crit damage is what I've gained. Yeah. I've gained 10.9% crit damage, basically 11% crit damage, but lost 3% crit rate. Now, for me, if you guys didn't know, the way I like to keep my character builds, and what I say to a lot of people when it comes to character builds is, as long as they have around 50% crit rate, you're good. Anything over that, you don't necessarily need. This is not for Spiral Abyss, by the way, because I'm not a meta player. I only play the game because I enjoy it. I only really went up to, for a long time, I only did the first 3, well, maybe actually just the first 4 floors. The reason I did the first the first 4 floors, that's a tongue twister, the first 4 floors was because if you guys are veteran Genshin Impact players like me who are playing since day 1, basically in all the way in back in patch 1.0 in September 2020. Oh, the good old golden days. Anyway, enough reminiscing. Basically, if you guys were playing then, you would know that if you went up to floor 4, chamber 3, you'd get a free Xiangling. So for a really long time, I actually only went up to that floor and left it. I didn't touch Spiral Abyss for like another year and a half, and then I only this year recently, I'm pretty sure, I actually went all the way to floor 8 because I realized there's a load of Primogems to be collected. I may as well. They're permanent anyway, but it's not like floors 1 to 8 reset. It's just floor 9 to 12. I'm not a meta player, so I don't really care about high crit rates. All I care about is high crit damage. In my books, as long as you have at least 50% crit rate, for the open world, you're fine. You're completely good. You don't need more crit rate than that. So I always like to hover around 50% crit rate and just chuck everything else into crit damage. So yeah, since that Nihilus video, I've lost about 3% crit rate, but gained around 11% crit damage, which is a W in my books. I think that's a pretty big dub. So, yeah, also, as you could probably tell, guys, down here, you guys can see that my physical damage bonus has also gone up. Yes, before, it was around 80... what is it around? It was around... 83.3, I'd like to say, something like that, around 83.3, but that was because I was running a physical damage bonus goblet as well as 2-piece Pale Flame. Now you guys might already be thinking, I already know what set he's using. Yes, and it is the 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry. 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry and 2-piece Pale Flame. Now this is the proper physical DPS hyper carry Shenhe build. That's right, guys. For the longest time, I was always wondering, you know what? It would have been so amazing if I got those Shimenawa reminiscent substat rolls onto Bloodstained Chivalry. And safe to say, I didn't necessarily achieve that exact same power, but I got some pretty good rolls. Some 1-to-1s and 1-to-2s. So, yeah, we'll go through the pieces now. So, the flower, I actually kept the same, because I need some crit rate, obviously. So, I kept the same flower. I could have actually swapped onto this, which give me even more crit damage, but then I would hardly have any crit rate. As for the feather, now, I've actually changed the feather from this legendary piece that I got to this. So, this piece is gives me 10.9% crit rate with 11.7% crit damage. So, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Unfortunately, it did go once into flat HP, which is why it didn't roll again into crit rate or crit damage, but it's still a pretty decent piece. Now, I also do have this piece here, which gives me 20% crit damage, but like I said, I'm going to need the crit rate. So, yeah. As for the timepiece, now the timepiece you might have thought actually stayed the same, but to be honest, it didn't. It's actually changed. It's gone from this legendary 35% crit damage piece to this, pretty good 1-to-1 ratio, honestly. It's 10.5% crit rate to 18.7% crit damage, which, to be fair, is actually a really, really good piece. That's to be fair, the Pale Flame piece, as well as the, you know, what is it, the timepiece, both the flower and the feather were both no, the flower and the timepiece, I should say, were actually really, really good rolls. Yeah, it's just a shame that, you know, the feather didn't roll once more into crit damage or something. But yeah, the timepiece isn't too bad, but this is the piece I was running beforehand, but now not anymore. Now you might be thinking, how come you've got a lot of crit rate on your substat rolls instead of crit damage? Or you've swapped your pieces around? Well, that's because of the actual helmet that I'm using, and you can probably already guess what it is. As for the actual goblet, the goblet I've kept the same, because this is probably one of the best physical damage bonus goblets I've ever gotten. So that's why I've just kept this one. And as for the actual helmet, the helmet is a full-on crit damage piece. Now, that obviously, this is where most of my new power is coming coming from. It gives me 62.2% crit damage with 9.7% crit rate. Now, because I haven't actually built a crit damage goblet before, I've only built crit rate goblets. I don't actually know how high substats for crit rate is really supposed to be, but I've heard like really good rolls for crit rate is around 15%, but the average is around 10, 11, 12%. So technically I have 10% crit rate. So honestly, I don't even think that's too bad. Yeah. But those are the actual pieces. So yeah, now that I've actually gained about 11% crit rate, now that I've gained about 11% crit damage, and I've also gained an extra 25% physical damage bonus, my Shenhe should be hitting a lot harder. And that's what actually we're going to do. So, as you guys know, if you haven't watched my videos, or if you haven't, you know, obviously, because I haven't been uploading for a long time, I usually test on our favorite friend. I forgot his name. I am a terrible friend, it would seem. I completely forgot his name. But the samurai dude down there, we test it out on him and see how well our damage has gone up to. Now, obviously, this test probably does need updating with the new Sumeru enemies, but there isn't really another controlled environment in Sumeru for me to really do tests like there is in Inazuma. So maybe if you guys know any good environments to do testing and stuff on the new monsters, please do let me know, because obviously this test is starting to get a little bit outdated, and I would like to find new enemies in a controlled environment to maybe fight. So yeah. Anyway, guys, we're gonna fight this guy twice. We're gonna do it once just with Shenhe, and then the second time we're gonna go with like max power. Now, the reason I don't do any tests in between is because you either like in an actual scenario, you're either just fighting Shenhe using her own stuff, or you're like using her own stuff, or you're using the entire team's utility. That's the way that most you know, fight situations really go. So yeah. So now we're going to run down to our favourite friend down here, whose name I completely forgotten. I haven't visited him in over, what? Well, to be brutally honest, I also did take a massively long break from Genshin Impact. Like, I didn't play it for a long time. Like, I think I actually stopped around the middle of November to basically now. So basically a full month and a half, nearly. Yeah. Actually, I stopped to be fair, that's a lie. I actually stopped towards the beginning of November, to be brutally honest. So around a month and a half, I effectively didn't play Genshin for a long time. So yeah. Masanori! There we go, that's his name. Yeah, so we're not gonna use Zhongli's shield or anything. We're just gonna use Shenhe's elemental skill, because if you guys didn't know, Shenhe's passive, her ascension passive for the like her second ascension passive, I believe, or her first ascension passive, I can't remember which one it was. But basically, if Shenhe uses her elemental skill, yeah, the hold variation of it, right? Not the dash version, the one where she just stands still, right? That one. If she uses the hold variation of it, you actually gain what is it? 15% normal charged and plunging attack damage. Yeah, so we're gonna run this exact same test twice, and then we'll reset, and then hopefully we'll have all the bursts of everyone filled up. So yeah, we'll have at it then. Let's go. Right, so normally you can see, I mean, obviously I'm not hitting ridiculously hard. Yeah. Alright,
My will
now,
and body.
if we use our elemental skill there,
This will end you!
okay, not bad, not bad.
Cheap tricks!
And let's try the charge attack now. Oh, he blocks the charge attack.
Transfiguration.
Great. 20k.
This will do!
Do I have Shenhe's burst up yet? No, I don't.
Fall before me!
Okay, let me just...
Blood slide. Leap. My will embodied.
There we go. Alright, now we can reset. Okay, so you see there, guys, my Shenhe's hitting a little bit hard, and that was without any buffs. Like, obviously, in a regular fighting situation, I would probably have Zhongli's shield on me, and obviously, yeah, because Zhongli's shield, if you didn't know, reduces enemies' physical resistance by about 20%. right? So, yeah, I guess now that that's done, we're going to try and do the fight again with basically all of it, right? Like everything. So we're going to use Shenhe's burst, Lisa's burst, Zhongli's shield, and Yunjin's burst as well. Now, if you guys want me to make, I won't go through an actual detailed team guide on why I built this team for Shenhe. I'll probably make a video like that maybe later down the line. If you guys really want to see why I'm using these characters specifically, then do let me know. But I do plan on making the video anyway, even if you don't let me, even if you guys don't let me know. I probably will at some point, but it just depends on the matter of urgency, really. So, yeah. This is probably one of the most perfected teams I've actually ever built for Shenhe, but I'm thinking of changing it a little bit. Obviously, because number one, you know, well, I obviously haven't gotten any of the new units, but it's just that this team has obviously been the same team that I've had on Shenhe for like the longest time, really. So maybe if there's like, maybe there's another, like, other characters out there that synergize really well with Shenhe that I'm just not thinking about. So yeah, I plan on redoing this team entirely, but it really depends, honestly. Right. We'll try again this time, Masanori.
This is order.
With everything we've got here.
Solidify.
Strike is one.
Use
Try
this,
not to enjoy
and
this.
then use this,
Ordnance divine.
and then use this, and now damage. Damage. Oh!
Transfiguration.
Will end you.
Nearly 40k in a really short window, to be fair. But you guys saw there, right? 17, 14, 9, 8, 11, 5.
Take your true form.
Oh, we didn't actually get to see the charge attack damage. Oh well. Nearly 40k. Oh my god. Of course, that was with everything, and it was within a very, very short burst window. But you guys need to think about it, right? If you're going against, like, a Mita Churl, or even a Lore Churl, that's still a huge chunk of damage. A huge chunk. And obviously, 50% crit rate, right? You guys could see there that even in the worst case scenarios of an actual, like, normal attack rotation, I'm guaranteed to hit at least 3 out of 6 of my attacks, basically, with the, like, critically strike. In a normal scenario, it's around 4 hits that actually, you know, critically hit. And yeah, 1 extra attack may not be a lot, but 1 extra attack is basically a load of increased damage, basically. So yeah,
My pole arm.
you guys can see that Shenhe with this build is a little bit broken. Honestly, to be fair, any character with a physical damage build with loads of crit damage and loads of, you know, very good, you know, partners in the actual team to fight with is all obviously really good. I've made this team around Shenhe's physical damage specifically, as well as her normal attacks, hence why Zhongli, Lisa, as well as Yunjin are in it. But of course, I'm thinking of updating the team a little bit and seeing if I can make her even stronger. I'm currently thinking of ways to make her even stronger than before, because obviously nowadays physical damage is starting to become a lot weaker. In fact, ever since, well, basically ever since everyone stopped talking about Eula, that's really when physical damage went down. In fact, physical damage as an actual damage type in Genshin Impact is starting to get a lot more rare, because Eula's really the only dedicated physical unit in the game. I mean, of course, there's Razor, but Razor and Eula, really, you don't really see a lot of other characters building, you know, physical damage. So yeah, unless they're off meta picks like a Chi-Chi physical DPS, or Shenhe physical DPS, or Zhongli physical DPS. I mean, like, dedicated physical unit, like physical carry units, like Eula and Razor. They're really the only two. But even nowadays, I've heard that, you know, people are actually starting to make, like, you know, Cryo Razor and Hydro Razor. Yeah. So even people are starting to make Razor and Elemental DPS. So honestly, it's a little bit scary, the fact that physical DPS is kind of just going away, and because of that, obviously, I can't make Shenhe as strong as she is, can be compared to a lot of other physical compared to a lot of other 5-star DPS carries out there, and that's why Shenhe, physical DPS Shenhe anyway, and even cryo DPS Shenhe, to be brutally honest, is very team reliant. So yeah, whereas a lot of carries out there are honestly they could just be by themselves and still deal a decent amount of damage, but
the assumption that every person has somewhere to call home.
that's why
is
physical
naive.
DPS is a very, very team reliant these
used to living
days.
in the
So
mountains
yeah.
alongside the
Anyway,
birds
guys,
and
I
beasts
have
a
been
long time ago.
Carvenus14 and still am, and I hope the rest of you will enjoy your day. I will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.